Hello, my dear students. Let's continue chapter 4, lessons 36 to 40. Lesson 36, our warm-up is about squares and triangles. If Muhammad makes a drawing with 5 squares and Mona makes the same drawings but she uses triangles. It takes 2 triangles to make square. How many triangles does Mona draw? So Muhammad here draws 5 squares, and Mona used 2 triangles to make each one square, and she also drew 5 squares. So she will use triangles like this. Here, each one square contains 2 triangles. So, how many triangles in all? If the one square uses 2, so 5 squares uses what? 5 times 2, because each square contains 2 triangles. So 5 times 2 equals 10 triangles. Now, let's apply on this grid below. Draw and label as many rectangles as you can with area of 18 square units. So the area is 18 square units. Here we know the area and we wanted to know how many rows and columns to get this area. It means we have the product. 18 is the product. We know that area equal rows times columns. So we have area, we have 18. What are our rows and columns? We will multiply together to get 18. 18 equals what times what? The first is 2 times 9. 2 rows times 9 columns. So 2 times 9 equal 18. What else? We have the commutative property of this equation, which is 9 times 2. 9 rows and 2 columns, all of them equals 18. What else? 3 times 6. 3 times 6 equals 18. And the commutative property for it, 6 times 3 equals 18 also. The last equations. 18 times 1 equals 18. And the commutative for it is 1 times 18 equals 18. 18 what? 18 square units. So, let's write all the equations of these arrays. 2 times 9 equals 18. 9 times 2 equals 18. 3 times 6 equals 18. 6 times 3 equals 18. 18 times 1, 18. 1 times 18, 18. So all of these factors, when we multiply each two factors together, 2 and 9, 3 and 6, 18 and 1, we get 18 as a product, which is the area. Now, let's use the commutative property to answer the following. What is another way you could write to find the same products here? 3 times 7 equals 21. The commutative property for it is 7 times 3 equals 21. How can we get 21 with these two numbers or two factors by different way? 3, we said the commutative property is 7 times 3, and we can find it by repeated addition, which equals 7 plus 7 plus 7. Another example, we have 6 times 2 equals 12. The commutative property is 2 times 6. And the repeated addition equation is 6 plus 6, We repeated 6 two times here. The last one, 4 times 10 equals 40. Let's have the commutative property for it. 10 times 4 equals 40. And the repeated addition is 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10. We have 4 tens. Our math journal reflect on your learning about area, arrays, and multiplication. Omar planted 2 flower pots. One was 3 times 4 and one was 2 times 6. How do they have the same area? How do you know? We have here 3 times 4 equals 12 and 2 times 6 equals 12. So they have the same area. Both of them have 12 square units. Lesson 37. Let's start with the warm-up. I'll give you 2 numbers as columns and rows, and you should find the area. If I gave you 2 and 10, 2 rows and 10 columns, now let's find the area. 2 times 10 equals 20. We will draw it like this. 2 rows and 10 columns, all of them equals 20. 20 what? 20 square units. Let's apply. Now, if we don't have the complete squares inside the shape, we learned that area means the space inside the shape. The space inside the shape. And we used 2 ways to find the area. First, by counting, and it's very easy way. And the second, by multiplying rows and columns. But here, if we don't have the total squares, can we find the area? Yes, sure. If we counted the squares in the horizontal line, and we counted the squares in the vertical line, and we multiplied them together, we will find the area. Here in rectangle 1, how many squares here? 3. And here 4. So 3 times 4 equals 12. Now rectangle 2. How many squares in the horizontal line? 4. And in vertical line 4. So 4 times 4 equals 16. 16 what? 16 square units. In rectangle 3, we have 6 times 5, 6 squares in the horizontal line, and 5 squares in vertical line. All of them equals 30 square units. Page 107, you can complete it by your own. It's very easy. Let's move to page 108. We have some shapes here. We will find the total area by the same way. It's very easy. We will count the squares in the horizontal line, and we will count the squares in the vertical line. The first shape is 4 times 3 equals 12, or 3 times 4 equals 12. They are the same. You can count rows first or columns first. The second one, 6 times 1 equals 6. The third, 8 times 3 equals 21. And the last one, 4 times 8 equals 32. Don't forget to revise the multiplication tables carefully. Now our math journal. Reflect in your learning about area, then answer the following question using words and pictures if you want. How would you explain the area for or to a younger friend? If you have a younger friend or your little sister or little brother, How could you explain the area? Write your answers. If I have a younger friend, I will tell him that area is the total number of squares inside a shape, and we can find it by counting. Yeah, it's very easy for younger friend. But if you have number 2, how do you determine the area or the area of a rectangle? Write your answer below. If I have a rectangle, I will multiply rows times columns, or I will multiply length times width. What are length and what are width? If I have a rectangle like this, if I have rows and columns, I will count rows and multiply rows by columns. We have here 2 rows and 5 columns, so we will multiply 2 times 5. But if I don't have rows and columns, I will multiply length by width. What are length and width? Length is the longest side, and width is the shortest sides. We said in the shapes that rectangle has 4 sides. 2 are long and 2 are short. So the longest or the longer side is called length. Length. We can call it length. And the shortest side, we can call it width. If we know that length equals 6 centimeters and width equal 2 centimeters, we will multiply 6 times 2. Or here 5 centimeters for length and 2 centimeters for width, we will multiply 5 times 2, which equal 10 also. And we will discuss this idea in the next chapter, inshallah. This is just warm up for it. The last question: when might you need to find the area of a rectangle in real life? Write your answers. In the real life, when I might find the area, I can find the area if I am trying to measure the area of home or playground. So I will write that area equals length times width. Lesson 38. Split the area below into two at least smaller arrays. Split the arrays below into at least 2 smaller arrays and label the factors for each part. Here, if we have a large array, and I want to find it easily, I can cut it or split it. Cut it means split. Cut it into 2 smaller arrays. So here, as example, as we can see, we have 3 rows and we have 10 columns. All of the total columns we have are 10. We can divide them or split them or cut them into 2 smaller arrays. One will be 5 columns and the other will be 5 columns also. So we will have here 3 times 5 and 3 times 5. 3 times 5 equals 15 and 3 times 5 equals 15. 15 plus 15, 30. It's the same if we multiplied 10 columns by 3 rows. 10 times 3 equals 30. Let's explain more in problem 1. We have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 columns. 8 columns, and we have here 4 rows. We can multiply 8 by 4. 8 by 4 equals 32. But if I divided it into smaller arrays, the first array will be 3 times 4 or 4 times 3, which equals 12. And the second array will be 5 times 4 or 4 times 5, which equals 20. 12 plus 20, 32. It's the same. In problem 2, I will divide this or split this large array into two smaller arrays like this. The first array will be 6 rows multiplied by 5 columns. So 6 times 5, 30. And the next one will be 5 times 6, 30. 30 plus 30, I will add them to find the total. 30 plus 30, 60. The last one, I will split it like this. The first array will be 4 times 4, 4 rows and 4 columns. And the second will be 4 times 2. Now let's discuss distributive property. Distributive property. We use distributive property to split a large array into smaller arrays to calculate easily. As we did in the last page, we divided or split or cut the large array into smaller arrays to calculate easily the area. To know more, we will have an example here. We have an array here. This array contains how many columns? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it has 6 columns. How many rows? 4 rows. If we want to use distributive property, we will cut it or split it into two smaller arrays like this. The first array will contain what? 4 rows will not change. We have 4 rows, but columns change it. The columns here 3 and the columns here 3. So the first array is 3 times 4 or 4 times 3. And the next one will be the same, 3 times 4. If we want to find an equation to understand it, the biggest array is 4 times 6. I split or I cut 6 into 3 and 3. So 6 will be 3 plus 3. So we don't have 6 now. We have 3 plus 3. So 4 times 3 plus 3. I will distribute this 4 into 3 and 3. So 4 times 3 plus 4 times 3. 4 times 3 equals what? 12. So 12 plus 12 equals 24. So the total area is 24 square units. So our steps here is divide the multiplication problem into two smaller problems. The multiplication problem was what? 4 times 6. I divided it into two smaller problems. 4 times 3 plus 4 times 3. The next step is add their products. We said 4 times 3 equals 12 and 4 times 3 equals 12. So I will add 12 plus 12, which are products. 12 plus 12 equals 24. Let's apply to it. First, we will draw an array with our numbers like this. If I have 3 rows and 6 columns, so 3 times 6 equals 18 square units. Let's apply together. We have here in page 112, we have here large arrays. I want to break apart the arrays and use distributive property to write an equation to show my work. So in number 1 we have very large array. I will split it or break apart the array like this. I can break it into 2 equal parts or one big and one small. I can do it as I want. So the first array is 5 columns and the next is 4 columns and we have 8 rows. So 8 times 5 or 5 times 8 equals 40, and the next array is 4 times 8 equals 32. I will add the products from the first array and the second array. It will be 32 plus 40 equals 72, or 40 plus 32, I can make commutative property as I want, equals 72. It's the same if I didn't break apart or I didn't split the array. The big array will be 9 columns and 8 rows. So 8 times 9 equals 72 also. Number 2, I will break it like this. Here I split it into 2 equal arrays. The first array is 4 columns and the second 4 columns, and the total rows are 7 and here 7 also. So 4 times 7 equals 28, and 7 times 4 or 4 times 7 again 28 for the next array. I will add the product 28 plus 28, 56. If I didn't split it, how many rows and how many columns? 7 rows and 4 plus 4, 8. So 7 times 8 equals 56, which is the same here. Number 3, I will split it like this. The first array is 3 and the second 3 columns, and the rows are 9 here and 9 here. The first will be 3 times 9, 27, and the next will be 3 times 9 equals 27. I will add the products 27 plus 27 equals 54. It's the same if I didn't split it. It will be 3 plus 3 equals 6 columns, so 6 times 7, 54, which is the same like as we did. Number 4, I will split it like this. 5 columns and 5 columns. 5 rows and 5 rows. 5 times 5, 25. 5 times 5, 25. Let's add 25 plus 25, 50. It's the same if we multiplied 5 times 10, 50. The next one you can do it as a homework and I will discuss with you again. I will split it like this. We have here 2 columns and here 4 rows. 2 columns, 4 rows. 2 times 4 equals 8 and 4 times 2 equals 8. 8 plus 8, 16, and 8 times 2, if I didn't split 8 times 2 equals 16 also. Our math journal. Reflect on your learning. Answer the question. What is the distributive property? Distributive property of multiplication. I will say that distributive property is dividing a multiplication problem into 2 smaller problems. I will use the large array or large multiplication problem. I will split it into 2 smaller problems. Then I will add their products to find the final answer or the final area, the total area. For example, if I have 9 times 8, I will split this 8 into 4 plus 4. So I will distribute 9 into 4 and 4. 9 times 4, 36, and 9 times 4, 36. 36 plus 36 equals 72. Lesson 40. Break up the following arrays in as many different ways as possible. Okay, the first array we will cut it or split it like this. I can split it in horizontal way or vertical way, never mind. So the first array will be 5 columns and 3 rows, and the second will be 5 columns and 3 rows also. So 3 times 5 plus 3 times 5 equals 15 plus 15, 30. The second one, I can split it like this. It will be, the first equation will be 4 columns times 3 rows, and the second will be 4 columns times 3 rows. So 3 times 4 plus 3 times 4, the first array 3 times 4, the second array 3 times 4 also. I will add them. It will be 12 plus 12, 24 square units, or 24, the total area will be 24, as you can write. Here, the next one, I can split it in horizontal way like this. The first array will be 3 times 2, and the second will be 3 times 2 also. 3 times 2 plus 3 times 2, 6 plus 6 equals 12. The last one, cut it like this. The first array will be 4 times 5. So 4 times 5 equals 20, and 4 times 5 equals 20. 20 plus 20 equals 40. The last one, two columns and 2 columns. 7 rows and 7 rows. So 2 times 7 equals 14, and 2 times 7 equals 14. 14 plus 14, 28. Now let's revise our multiplication facts. Some of them we studied before, and the new one, which is distributive property. Multiplication facts, we will start with any number times 0 equals 0. So, for example, 3 times 0 equals 0. Number 2, any number times 1 equals the same number. If we multiplied 3 by 1, 3 times 1 equals 3, the same number. And we said 1 is like a mirror. Number 3, commutative property. We said commutative property, we can switch factors and the product will not change. So 2 times 5, it's the same 5 times 2. The last one we studied today is distributive property. For example, we can divide or split a number into 2 smaller numbers like this. 3 times 4, I will split 4 into 2 and 2. It will be 3 times 2 plus 3 times 2. And I can also distribute it or split the 4 to 3 and 1. 3 plus 1. So 3 times 3 plus 3 times 1. What else? What else? I can split 3 into what? Split 4 into what? 4 and 0. 4 plus 0 equals 4. Okay, so it will be 3 times 4 plus 3 times 0. For example, also I can multiply times 8 times 7. I can split 7 into 4 and 3. So it will be 8 times 4 plus 8 times 3. Or I can split 7 into 2 and 5. It will be 8 times 2 plus 8 times 5. Or what else? I can split 7 into 6 and 1. It will be 8 times 6 plus 8 times 1. Or 8 times 0. 8 plus 0. 7 plus 0. Sorry. 7 plus 0. It will be 8 times 7 plus 8 times 0. And so on. Reflect on your learning about distributive property. Answer the questions below. First question, why was it easier to solve some arrays than others? I can say because small arrays with small numbers are easier to solve than larger ones. If I have small array and a large array, which will be easier? Sure, the small, because it's small numbers. When I multiply small numbers, it's easy to solve than big numbers. Question number 2. What was your strategy for identifying which new arrays you would solve? When I split the array into new arrays or small arrays, which our strategy? I can say if the large array contains even numbers of columns, I can split it into two equal arrays. It means if I have a large array with 10 columns, I can cut it into 5 and 5. But if I have a large array of 9, I can't cut it into equal numbers. 9 can't be divided by 2. So I can't find two equal numbers. Both of them, if I added them, will give me 9. So even numbers can be divided by 2. So if the large array contains even numbers of columns, I can split it into two equal arrays. The last question, which multiplication facts do you feel most confident about? Which multiplication facts do you feel least confident? I think we revised all multiplication facts, and I think all of them are easy for us. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.